Okay, today what we are going to look at is we're going to look at pivot tables and pivot charts. This is the phase 4 assignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by clicking on the week 4 individual assignment. Okay, that's going to open the file in Microsoft Office 2010. Okay, now if you're getting a thing here that says enable editing, make sure you click on the enable editing, because if you don't, then you won't be able to work with the file. Okay, if you notice what I just did over here in the corner, sometimes you're going to lose things, like you may not see all of the things on the sides. If you don't, go look up here, see if there's another of these boxes down below, and just click on that. And what that'll do is it'll maximize the screen. It gives you access to this information down here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download our workbook. And here we have, this is the workbook that we're going to be using. It's one that's been created for you. So make sure that you go ahead and use this one. Don't use a different one. We're going to start by doing insert. We want to do a pivot table. Okay, we're going to start with a pivot table. Okay, what we want to do, it's going to automatically select all the data on the sheet. You can see here by looking that we've got the whole table is selected, so that's fine. If it doesn't automatically select the data on your sheet, you just click on this little button right here and select your table. Okay, so select all of the data. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to do this in a new worksheet. So make sure that this new worksheet radio button is selected. It's selected by default, so you shouldn't have to change anything. We're just going to click OK. It creates a new sheet over here. Now, if you look at it, you're going to see it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. It looks kind of blank. Where we're used to selecting our data and then it automatically creates a chart or graph or whatever for us, this one doesn't do that, because what it's meant to do, what a pivot chart does, is it takes a lot of data and it consolidates it into more usable information for us, so that we can do like multiple functions on one table. Like for instance, we can find the average of everybody's salary. If we were to do that and then chart it, we would have to go over here, calculate the averages, we'd have to do a whole new column and everything. It'd really be a lot of work. So instead of what we use is we use what's called a pivot table. And what this will do is it'll consolidate the data for us without us having to do anything. So if we look at the instructions, it says the first thing we need to do is we need to choose manager. Okay, and choose them in this order, because if you don't choose them in this order, they're gonna be mixed up. It's not a big deal. I'll show you how to change the order if you have to. But you want to choose manager first, job title second, and full name third. Okay, and you see what it does is it starts filling in the table. It also puts those down here in the row labels. Okay, now if you don't like the order, if you say you did the order differently, maybe you did job title first, then full name, then manager, all you need to do is just drag it to another location. But you see how it changes the look of the table. It changes the information that it's giving us. So that's why it's so important that we have this in the correct data, or in the correct order. So we want manager first, job title second, full name third. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to get rid of Gilles. So what we're going to do is just open up the little drop box next to it. We're going to get rid of Gilles Joubert, and we're going to get rid of the blank. Okay, we don't want blank because blank doesn't really give us any information. So we're just going to uncheck those boxes. What we're doing is we're filtering the data so that all we're showing is the data we want to show up. So these three, and it says in your, if you look in the instructions, it says exclude CEO and CEO direct reports as well as any blank data, and limit it to 3 managers. Well, we can see we've got 3 managers here, Waku, Nina Sharp, and SW Wicks. So we've got that taken care of there. And what it does is it just makes the data a little bit smaller. The next thing we want to do is we want to do the full name and salary. What we want to do is we want to count the number of employees that each manager has, and then we want to average together their salaries. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go back up into this field list, and we're just going to drag full name down to this values. Notice we've got that little sum symbol there. Okay, so what it does is it counts full name, and we're going to pull down the salary as well. Okay, it gives us the count of full name and the sum of salary. Now, the reason it does count is because you can't really add together full names or anything like that. We have to count them. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the full names, and then we don't want the sum of salary. Okay, you notice, if we notice here, it gives us the sum of salary. So all of his salaries put together for the administrative assistants is $263,600. we don't want the sum. We want the average. So how do we change that? Okay. What we can do is we can go down here. You notice that we have a pull down again. So we're going to pull that down, and we're going to change value field settings. Okay, value field settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose average because we want the average salary. Okay, now if we look at our data here too, we can see that it's kind of hard to read the numbers. You can see I kind of stumbled over this. I didn't know if it was 26,000 or 263,000 just by glancing at it. So what we want to do is we want to put it in a format that's more conducive to salaries. And salaries are currency, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to change the number format, and we're just going to choose currency. Okay, and what that does is it shows us what it's going to look like. It's going to put a dollar sign there, and it's going to put negatives and positives and everything, and we're going to choose OK. Sorry about that. Sorry. And we're going to choose OK. All right, now what that does is that puts that into our, that puts it into the proper format. Notice that it's in currency. Okay, notice that we're in currency, and we have the averages. Notice that this is the average of the salary. We have how many employees are, or how many, this is how many administrative assistants we have. We have 1, we have 8 customer service representatives, and 5 software analysts. Okay, and that's directly under Waku. Those are his direct reports. Okay, so we can see all that information. Now, you notice that this table is still kind of a little hard to read. So if you want to, you can go into this design, and we can change the format. First of all, let's start by showing it in compact form. Now, notice by showing it in compact form, we make it a little bit easier to read. Okay, it's a little bit easier. We can see that Kuwa has 14 direct reports, since he has 1 administrative assistant, 8 customer service reps. Still a little bit difficult to read, okay? Difficult, especially like once we get down here to Nina Sharp. It's hard to tell where that 7 or the 1, which it goes to. So what we're going to do is click in here. We're going to go up to our pivot table tools. We're going to choose design, and what you can do is you can change the way that your pivot table looks. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. Now, look at how much easier it is to read. We can see easily that Waku has 14 direct reports. He has 1 administrative assistant. The average salary of administrative assistants is $26,000. He has 8 customer service representatives. The average customer service representative salary is $32,950. So now he can easily go down here and say, okay, well, James Chow is getting paid more than the average, but then Kathy Chang is getting paid less than the average. So now we can do some sort of information. So we can ask, well, why is Kathy Chang getting paid less than James Chow? And why is she getting paid less than the average? Well, maybe the reason she's getting paid less than the average is because maybe she was just hired. Maybe she's a new hire. But by looking at this, I have the information. So now I have the information that I need in order to make an assessment of various pieces of information without having to add new columns to my original table. Okay, now the last thing that we want to do is we want to change the title on this. So we're going to rename this because sheet 1 is not very descriptive. We need to give it a name so we know what's on this page. So what we're going to do is we're going to do heads and salary by manager. Okay, now remember that your spell check does not check it doesn't spell check in the tabs, so we have to check it carefully, so make sure that that's all spelled correctly. Okay, then if you want to, you can change the color of your tab. That's up to you. Okay, you don't have to, but you can if you'd like. It just kind of adds some depth to your sheet. So that is the pivot table, and the next video is going to be the pivot chart.